Hey everybody, welcome back. So you've discovered that you want to have some bleach on hand for disinfecting surfaces and purifying water. But then you find out a bottle of bleach is only good for about 6 months before it loses all its potency. Well, today I'm going to show you a way to get some long-term bleach solution made up, and this one will last you 10 years. Alright everybody, welcome back. So as I said in the intro, bleach doesn't last that long. You really can't store a year's worth of bleach because in 6 months, your last bit of bleach is no good. It's basically dead. Well, a solution to this is to make your own bleach using calcium hypochlorite. You see this bottle here. This bottle is so painfully generic. It looks like it would be something you'd find in a lab. I ordered that bottle off Amazon. You can get Pool Shock as well, as long as it's 68 to 70% calcium hypochlorite and nothing else in it. No softeners, no anything else, just calcium hypochlorite. Basically what it is powdered bleach. Now, like I said, your storage bleach isn't going to last very long. I've had stuff in my pantry that I use for cleaning, and sometimes I let it run a little long, and I'll notice even in a few months it's less effective than it was as original. So, the answer lies in granulated or powdered calcium hypochlorite. This bottle will last for 10 years. You do have to store it in a cool, dark, dry, and protected place. We'll get into the correct way to store this later. But it can mix up a fresh batch of bleach whenever you need it. So a 1 pound bag of calcium hypochlorite, or in this case a 1 pound bottle of it, can treat thousands of gallons of water. Now if you're disinfecting, say, a 55-gallon barrel of water, you got yourself one of those big blue 55-gallon barrels like I've shown you mine in previous videos, you simply add a 1/4 teaspoon of this dry calcium hypochlorite to the water. If you're going to make a 5% chlorine stock solution, which is basically what you buy in the store as bleach, I'll give you some info on that and how to do it. Pretty much, if you're going to make 1 cup of it, and that's what I'd suggest using to start with, just to see how you like it, you're going to add a 1 1/2 teaspoon of calcium hypochlorite and a cup of water. And we're going to do that today. That's going to be our little thing here. I like to store it in glass. Again, if you store just the calcium hypochlorite, the granulated stuff in this, it will eat through that metal. We'll get into that later. It's a very caustic chemical. But the bleach should be fine. Stealing it in there should be fine. If you're going to make a quart, you're going to use 2 tablespoons of calcium hypochlorite. If you're going to make 2 quarts, you're going to use 4 tablespoons. And a gallon, you're going to use 8 tablespoons. Remember, whatever you're using as far as measuring, to wash it out really good as well. This is a very, very old aluminum measuring spoons here. And they will definitely get chewed up alive if I leave them in the solution. So we're going to wash that out really, really well. Once you've done that, you can use this to disinfect water just like regular chlorine, bleach. Like, again, if you want to make 1 quart of pure water, you put 2 drops of your solution in. And basically that's how it works. If it's questionable water, you put 4 drops in, and so on up to 55 gallons. So that's pretty much how it works. It's very, very simple to use. Now, the amount I gave you for doing a 55-gallon drum, okay? If you're going to just add a 1/4 teaspoon to it, that's really if you know the water's source, all right? You can go up to 11 teaspoons if it's questionable or cloudy. I wouldn't store that stuff for long term. I would basically just add I'd probably add a teaspoon myself into 55 gallons of water and let it sit for a while. You should be pretty good that way. So, 5% chlorine solution, like we said, which is just your regular bleach, can be used just like liquid bleach, and that you buy at the store. Storing it in powdered form allows you to make small batches of fresh liquid bleach as you need with the right amount of chlorine to do the job. So let's say you're really going to disinfect something that's really, really dirty. Well, maybe you want to use 2 teaspoons instead of 1 1/2. In your cup of water there. So let's try it out. Let's make some up here. I'll show you how this works. Again, I would recommend being very, very careful with this. You don't want to inhale it or ingest it, and you really don't want to get it all over your hands. I'm not wearing gloves today for this because I'm not going to get it all over the place, but you really want to be careful with it. Do it over a sink. Do it somewhere where it's going to wash down and not get all over your hands or all over a surface. I'm doing it here because, well, this is where I shoot YouTube videos. So let's get this set up and we'll try it out. Alright, so I've got it open. And yeah, there was a strong smell of bleach when I opened that. Got my measuring spoons here. I'm going to put 1 cup of water. Now this may seem like a ridiculously small amount to mix up, but trust me, 1 cup of this goes a long way if you're using it for disinfecting surfaces around your house. So let's pour in our cup of water there, right to the top red line. There we go. And I'm going to do the 1.5 cups, 1.5 teaspoons, I'm sorry. This is a teaspoon. 1.5 cups would be quite interesting. Now, given that this is such a small thing, what I'm going to do here is pour a little bit of it in this clear glass thing here. You'll notice this stuff tends to jump out. I could just try to pour it in here, but it'll splatter everywhere. As even opening it, it kind of started to splash around a bit. So I'm just going to put a little in here. See how it jumps out like that? And I'm just going to pour a little in there. And it's still jumping out all over the place. And we'll clean all that up, you know, with a wet rag. I don't want to mess around with it. So we're going to go with a teaspoon and half teaspoon. I had to pull that close to see it. So that's 1.5 teaspoons in there. And we're going to mix this up until we get a nice, even solution. You don't want any of that stuff in there. So I'm going to mix that up, and I'll bring you back. It's almost all gone, but I'll bring you back when it's fully dissolved, because there's a lot on the bottom. And wipe up my mess, and I will show you how this works. Alright, so one of the things I've done now is transfer this to a glass jar. It won't be clear like you see in your regular bleach on, you know, that you buy from the store. But you can mix this up very, very well. And it still will settle a little bit. You mix it up really good. And I like using canning jars for it. I have a little on my hand here that's dripping. But I like using canning jars for it. And at this point, it's like handling regular household bleach. So it's not as dangerous as, say, the raw calcium hypochlorite. So if you get some of this on your hand, it's not like it's going to burn or anything like that. And chances are, if you wipe that off fast enough, you'll be fine too. I mean, this isn't, you know, an instant burn type chemical. I just want you folks to be careful and not put this in with, say, your tools or, God forbid, a gun safe or anything like that. This will corrode pretty much anything. So, the best way to store this, I've heard suggestions of taking this and putting it inside a plastic bottle with a cap, you know, a big wide mouth bottle where you drop it in and seal it in the original package. What I've done in the past is I will keep it between the bottom of my desk down there, between two cinder blocks, because basically this desk is built on cinder blocks. I will put it inside a bag like this, just a Ziploc bag. Seal it up, and stick it down there between the cinder blocks. And it's never given me a problem. You just want to make sure you don't have anything metal nearby. Like I have a pair of bolt cutters down there now underneath, and I'm going to pull those out and put them on the other side, because I haven't had this in a little while. I did have some pool shock, and if you're watching this and you happen to know why this happened, maybe you can let me know. I had some pool shock originally when somebody told me to try this solution out, and it was in one of those plastic bags. I got it at Walmart. It was in one of those plastic kind of long tubes that they have. It's kind of that thick plastic. I'd had it for about 5 or 6 years, and they are good for 10 years. And it was fully sealed. And I'm like, you know, I've had this for a really long time. I'm going to test it out and make some bleach with it and see if it's any good still. I went to make bleach with it, and I opened up the bag, and the bag inside, everything was wet. It's like it absorbed air through the bag somehow, water through the bag. Nowhere was the bag ripped, because obviously it wasn't dripping anywhere. And there was no water anywhere near it. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a roof was leaking on it or something. It was just sitting there out in the open, and inside got wet. Now, I don't know how that happened, so if there's anybody that can explain the chemical process of how that might have happened, it'd be really interesting to know. But anyway, there's your bleach solution. And if you need it a little less, if you want to dilute it a little bit, you know, you don't need it maybe 5%, you don't need it that strong, you can always just add some more water to it. And there you go. So, that is how you use calcium hypochlorite to make some bleach. And let me tell you, this stuff smells of bleach. It's really, really strong. You can smell it. So it's definitely going to work very, very well for its intended purposes. I am going to try it out because I've never used it. I've never actually used it. I've always used bleach. Even when I had that stuff before, I didn't use it. I just figured, well, I better store it because it's a good idea. And now that I'm doing my YouTube videos and channels, I'm actually using a lot of my gear, and that's very important. Even if you folks think you'll never get a viewer, get out there and use your gear and maybe videotape it. Maybe you'll do it and you'll see what you're doing wrong. When I first started doing stuff, I didn't know what I was doing with some of the products, and people suggested and made suggestions, and I got better at what I was doing. So this is definitely a cool way to make yourself some water sanitizing solution. Basically, it's just bleach. And as far as the shelf life goes of this stuff, like they say it's 10 years. You definitely want to rotate it and make sure you keep it fresh. I've noticed that the other stuff that I used years ago, that was the tabs, the little bleach tablets, after a year or so, those weren't as strong. So I assume that after 10 years, that's not going to be anywhere near as strong as it needs to be. So anyway, that's the video for today. Like I said, you can pick this up on Amazon. I don't have a link to it, but I bought it off Amazon. They're not expensive. I think it was like $4 or $5. It really wasn't bad. And it's a really cool way to keep long-term bleach ready for your use at any moment. As long as you store this in a cool, dark, dry place, and you make sure that it's stored away from other metals or metallic objects or anything you value, I would honestly, if you just want to stick it in the corner of a garage where there's nothing, that works too. If your garage gets very hot in the summer like mine does, you'll have to bring it inside, which we will do. But definitely a good solution and really, really easy to do. And 1 pound of this, I mean, if you were to get, I'd say 2 pounds of this and put it away and unopen it, just not open it and leave it, you'd probably have a really, really bunch of water you could treat, a really large amount of water you could treat. So anyway, that's the video for today. Don't forget to check out our Amazon store down below. Our affiliate store has everything that we review in the channel in there, most of it. What I can find, if I find it cheaper somewhere else, I always let you know. Don't forget to check out our Food for Patriots link down below as well. That's preparewithiridium.com. You've got $100 off a 4-week kit on there. You've got some money off a 2-week kit as well. So check them out. And don't forget to check out our Thrive Life link. People seem to think you need to join up something to buy Thrive. You don't. You can make purchases every month at your own pace. You don't need to join anything. If you want to, you'll save some money, but you don't need to join anything, so you can try out the food and let me know what you think. Anyway, folks, I thank you for watching. Stay safe and stay prepared.